Hello, Martin Johnson here from Martin Johnson Communications, and welcome to another video blog. Earlier in the year I spoke to a good buddy of mine via Skype in the States, Rob Draper. Now, Rob is an Aussie but has lived in the States for about 30 years or more, where he's made his living as a director of photography. But Rob has moved from the DOP's chair into the director's chair, and he's directing a new feature film on the history of the Roman Empire, in particular about the Emperor Constantine. The film is called Nicaea. Before I chat to Rob in Rome on the backlot, here's the trailer for the movie.
Son, your path is preordained. My path is my own. Maxentius has built a floating bridge and destroyed all approaches to Rome. The price of this freedom may not be bearable. The battlefield is in the heart.
We are not here to decide the truth, but to affirm it.
Now, we will see the truth of it.
Nicaea.
So Rob, thanks for joining us again tonight. It's a great trailer, and I think I'm right in saying that you're joining us from the backlot of Cinecittà Studios in Rome.
Yeah, this is my Roman forum. We've just got some, I don't know if you can hear the police in the background, but there's police and a forklift driving down the Appian Way, which wouldn't have happened probably 2,000 years ago, but anyway, it's happening today. But yeah, we're on the Roman Forum set. This was built for our TV series Rome, that was done by Home Box Office, and it's left as a standing set. And we'll be using elements of this in Nicaea. And I've got to tell you that the way we pronounce Nicaea is the English pronunciation. I've been told when I talk to Italians, they have no idea what I'm talking about. And so the line producer told me the other way, that the real way to say it is Nicaea.
Okay, well, we'll try and get that right and talk about the new film Nicaea coming out. Now, you're in Rome.
You can keep talking about Nicaea.
Okay. I don't mind either way. Now, let's talk about what you're doing in Rome. Now, and I think I'm right in saying that filming won't take place till next year, but a lot of prep goes into getting a feature film up. So what sort of things are you doing?
Well, realistically, we're looking at starting prep. We were looking at the 1st of September, but it's probably going to be more like the 1st of October. And the reason for that is we want to start principal photography somewhere around May, so we get over the Easter break in Rome, because Easter, as you can imagine, is a pretty big deal here in Rome. And there's about 2 to 3 weeks of holidays that come and go all the way through April. So we're trying to stage it so that we start our prep in probably the 1st of October, and then we'll start shooting somewhere in early May. And we've got about 5 months of prep and about 3.5 to 4 months of principal photography.
Okay, now I know you've got the website up which talks about Nicaea, the movie, and you've obviously worked on the story. So I know it's hard to describe a feature film in a couple of minutes, but Have you worked through some of the detail on what the story is going to climax in?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, the story is about Constantine's rise to power and his journey to becoming sole emperor of the Roman Empire. And it's sort of an interesting story because, under Diocletian, as everyone knows, Christians were persecuted and killed all over the empire. But when Constantine came along, he had a little bit of a gentler approach, and I'm not too sure if that gentler approach was because he was being kind to Christians or because he realised that to be the sole ruler of the empire, he had to appeal to everybody. Because I think he was a bit of a shrewd politician as well. But the story is about his rise to power. The Tetrarchy failed, which was 4 emperors controlling the 4 different parts of the empire. Tetrarchy failed, and Constantine was the one who eventually rose to power and became sole emperor. But once he became sole emperor and he gave everyone the right to worship whichever god they wanted, the Christians started fighting amongst themselves, and he smacked himself in the forehead and said, what the heck have I got to do here to calm these guys down? And he called the Council of Nicaea. And so the climax of the film is the Council of Nicaea and his bringing together all the factions, or trying to bring them together, because we know that historically it didn't quite succeed that way. But him bringing everyone together and trying to get control of all the different elements in the empire. So it's no small no small job to tell the story, that's for sure.
Yes, I was going to ask.
The big turning point in this, the big turning point in the story is the Battle of Milvian Bridge, where Constantine came down and defeated Maxentius, and that was really the turning point of him becoming sole emperor of the Roman Empire. So that's one of the big turning points, and on that, the entire story turns, and then we get the change in attitudes towards Christians throughout the empire, and the journey of Constantine to sort of uniting everyone into one cohesive unit.
So you're telling a story, it's an historical story, it's set in ancient Rome, and even though you've got the set there of the Roman Forum, how do you recreate something that happened 2,000 years ago with, different locations that aren't there anymore? You've got to have lots of extras, I suppose. How do you start that whole process?
Well, it's actually pretty interesting because, to do this, we've got to recreate everything because nothing really exists anymore. There's lots of ruins, but we can't use the ruins. So the production designer and I will sit down and we'll go through, and we've already actually started doing that. The production designer is Francesco Frugeri, who was also the production designer on The Passion of Christ with Mel Gibson. We've already started going through and discussing how we're going to put the different elements together. One of the things we've got to do is recreate the city and harbour of Alexandria. Well, obviously, we can't do that, and we can't build the lighthouse of Alexandria, so all of that's going to have to be CGI. But one of the things I want to do is, I don't want this to be a CGI film. I don't want people to walk out of the movie and say, wow, that was some fantastic special effects. I want them to walk out of the movie saying, how did they do that? And so we're looking at ways of combining layers and layers and layers of real action interspersed with layers of CGI so that no one can tell where reality begins and ends, and that way hopefully it won't be perceived as a CGI movie.
I suppose
everything's created, everything's fabricated.
I suppose one of the hardest things, Rob, is on one hand you're dealing with that recreation and the scale and how you're going to achieve the effects, but also you've got to tell a story. And I know that it's the story that's attracted you to work on this film.
Yeah, I mean, the story is the whole story of Constantine and his rise to power. I mean, to be really honest, I didn't know a lot about it until I read the script. And once I read the screenplay, it was... I thought I've got to do this thing because it's just such a fantastic story and so many elements to it, and and really, I mean, what Constantine did changed the course of Western civilization. So it's also, you know, for me, it's a film that all through my career I've wanted to do something that was worthwhile and use all my skills and my talent and my craft to be able to fabricate a movie that actually impacts people and leaves them with a lasting impression. And when I read the script, I thought, this is it. You know, this is my opportunity to do that.
Last time we talked, Rob, we talked about you'd spent 30 years building a career as a cinematographer, and now you're moving into the director's chair, and you're now in Rome getting ready to shoot this film. Do you ever sort of stop and pinch yourself and say, what am I doing here? How did I get here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I was texting you pictures of some of the places you and I shot in 1985 as we were driving through in the taxi, and Sue's with me, and we're driving along. I said, you know, we're going. I'm driving to work, and it's like driving through the history of the world, and yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, to be driving along, going past the statues and the Victor Emmanuel building, and past the Colosseum and the Roman Forum and the Arch of Constantine, and we actually came out the Via Appia, and you think, you know, God, I'm making a movie, you know, about all of this stuff, and you're actually here living it at the same time. Yeah, it's actually quite amazing.
It's fantastic, and I know you'll do a fantastic job. Now, you might not be able to answer this question, but obviously you need to find actors, stars to play the part of Constantine and maybe his family. So, any hints about who might play those roles?
We've got a whole list of people who are sort of our preferred actors, but you know, for obvious reasons, until we've talked to them all, we sort of don't want to give out a lot of names. But we have been talking to a lot of casting directors and agents, and we may be casting this in a slightly different way to the way we originally anticipated, and that means maybe not necessarily using big names up front, but using a lot of big names in some of the other roles, which are still quite substantial. But we're just looking at that now, and actually, as soon as I finish this chat with you, I've got a meeting with the casting director here on the back lot to start talking about some of the ways we're going to go about casting.
So I better get my resume off to you quickly.
Yeah, get your resume and get that Roman stance down.
So, Rob, it sounds like an exciting couple of years ahead. So maybe in early 2015, we can sit down, look for maybe an Oscar or some award coming out for Nicaea, the movie.
Jono, I think to be at the Academy Awards and picking up an Oscar in 2015 would be fantastic. So thank you very much. I'll take that. But of course, as I said, you and Janine will have to brush up your shiny gear and head on over. So you'll have to come and be part of it.
We'd love to come. In fact, we're going to try and get there next year when you're filming as well. So look out for us on the Via Appia.
Yep, I see you coming down the Via Appia. I'll put the billy on and boil up a pot of tea.
And I'll bring the ice
And
Vobos.
you bring the ice Vobos.
Yeah, I'll bring the ice Vobos.
Yeah, good.
Okay, Rob, we'll chat again in a couple of months when it's gone to the next step, and we look forward to being part of the filming process with you.
Okie doke.
And cut.
Fantastic. Okay, we got it.